You brothers slept, hope you got a lot of rest. Cause we back in effect. We black, and we back at your neck. D-O-M-A-N-I, no problema. I'ma hold it down with you in this dilemma. Got a brother taking Chikundo with not but when it moves out. My style's the need to know. Oh, it's boom, bye. If you in earshot and you hearing me, just know that I emphatically got no love for them waivers. Me, I got that slur for every letter. From A to Z, this one in particular just happens to be my favorite. Say a crackers, getting blacker and blacker and blacker and blacker. Triple stage of darkness, no freaking nightlight. Black power, manhood, rat, psychite, mind heist. I'm nice. Holla at your elder, holla at your emperor. Body Zionist agendas. What's the formula for savagery? First, you can't have no soul. When you die, you really die. You eat your young and your old. Treat your women like a couple hoes and wreak havoc all across the globe. Ain't that how it goes? Oh, come on. Get them in. Original solar panel. Melanin, they wanna take me off the planet. We ain't going nowhere, goddammit. You hear that? We ain't going nowhere, goddammit. Death to white imperialism. Death to you homos. Death to you effeminized coons making us look bad. Black power. Oh, I love my queen, no jungle feed. It's in my ever-loving genes to love your seed. Protection, affection, my reflection. No mirror when I go gorilla, you say go get 'em. We don't coon, don't do no show tune. Strictly blicky from wicked, sickly men when we roll through. We search and we got a breakthrough. Cypher incomplete coming real soon. Cracker gotta go. Enemy has to go. History has proven. Present moment has proven. God true. First step with your left, then salute me with your right. In the triple stage of darkness, I emanate light. My body's a training camp, chisel physique, tripping up the mind and vow to never retreat. I die for my comrades, new Black Panther type. If you an integrationist, you and I don't think alike. You not Omo Wild, called your oval mind. Salute to all the queens that think like Nefertari. And my name is Quelly, translated true. Riding through the suburbs, stick up with you. Memphis, the Holocaust, they all need a fake. I don't believe in Jesus, no need for debate. I used to run the block, now the universe mine. From Kush to the Olmecs, God's in my bloodline. Black women need a shrine, she deserves worship. You rappers like the dollar, easy to rip and worthless. If we can recruit them, back in the head, shoot them. Since they thinking backwards, school didn't school them. I would call you brainwashed, but your brain dirty. Polluted by the lies, enslaved by the clergy. I learned God is me by the NGE, and we gotta pick up arms taught by Dr. Huey P. Being a G, I'd rather die as a rebel or commit suicide before I side with the devil. No, I'm not a star, I'm the sun. Original man before me, there was none. Fire flying out my gun, blast at a crack and poke holes in its lungs. My yassa.
Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, and your brother Ashe SJ. Will be joining us shortly, along with our weekly correspondent, Sister Marcia and Brother Black. Also want to check in. Good to be black again with y'all for another week. It's been a crazy week so far. A lot of things have been happening. President falling down again. What's wrong with y'all, President? He can't stand up. Ride bikes, fall down, standing up, falling down, blinking, falling down. I don't know. Y'all voted for this fossil. Let me know what it is. A lot of things have happened over the Memorial Day weekend. It was popping here in Brooklyn. If you wasn't in Brooklyn this weekend, you missed out. You missed out. It was on and popping. You had Dance Africa pop off. You had the Brooklyn Bazaar down there. You had block parties that was popping. Then your mayor, city officials didn't want none of y'all cooking out on the sidewalk, so I guess if you didn't have a backyard or a front yard, you know, cops is on people's tails, didn't want people to barbecue. I mean, woo! It's always something. It's always something in New York City. You got the migrants roaming around the city, all kind of craziness going on. You had another attack in Midtown Manhattan earlier this week. You know, another non-citizen attack of someone in Midtown Manhattan this week. So, you know, it is what it is. We're going to get all into it tonight. We got a lot to discuss. Also, some things have been going on in social media. We got to talk about that. You know, a lot of posts people send me, shenanigans going on. I mean, we're going to deal with it all tonight. We're going to deal with it all tonight and connect the dots how we normally do. So get ready for a family. We about to go in a minute. I want to give some shout outs real quick. Shout out to Brother Ray Ray and the BK William Mackey History Club. Last night they had Dr. Arthur Lewis went in for part 2. If you missed it, the video is listed or posted, on the Thorough Black Talk Facebook page so you can catch Dr. Arthur Lewis's lecture on there. Also, if you missed Dr. Filet in the New Day Liberation program this past Saturday, you can check it out on the Thorough Black Talk Facebook page. It's been reposted. So at your leisure, check it out. Tama, Bed-Stuy, Tama. Black Girl Magic Street is on and popping again this summer. It starts this Sunday. Tompkins Avenue, I think from Halsey to Gates. Open streets. Come down to Black Girl Magic Street. Do some shopping with some black vendors, black store owners and businesses on Tompkins Avenue. I'm going to Planet Brooklyn because I need me some more Brooklyn shirts. Y'all see how I rock out. So I got to give me some more Brooklyn shirts. At the Brooklyn Bazaar, you know, I caught a couple of shirts down there. But, you know, the summer is just starting and I got to get the gear popping. You know how I do it. Shout out to Sister Alexis. What's good with you? Got any more books you working on? You know. When you do, let us know so you can come on here and discuss it. And get us some of that turmeric and ginger tea. Shout out Sister Farnessa on the check-in. What's good with you, sis? Hope all is well with you and yours. You got ripped off, Asafo. You already know what it is, Sister Farnessa. He stayed falling down. I mean, how do people vote this fossil in? You know, I don't know. Brother Peace, what's good with you? What's good with you, black man? It's my big brother right there. Y'all better stop messing with Sister Keisha. I come with a squad. I got a squad of big brothers. She said she working on a book now. So you know, once it drops, we get the exclusive. We get the exclusive right here. Nobody else better not get that exclusive, sis. You already know. So, in case you missed it, this Sunday, some of the things that was popping off down in Dance Africa. There go Brother Ray Ray right there and his granddaughter. Brother Ray Ray and the BK William Mackey History Club was out there. You had some dancers, some drummers. So let's show this little clip for those of y'all who missed it. Check it out. Y'all see that sea of black folk out there? Y'all see that sea of black folk out there? It was on and popping. So if you want to feel the vibe, it was a whole vibe this weekend. I hope y'all was outside. I was outside for real, for real. Um, if you missed it, get ready for Sunday, Tama Sunday, Bed-Stuy, Tompkins Avenue, starting at 2 p.m. I think 12 o'clock, I believe. Street shut down till 6 p.m. If you missed it, come out and catch the vibe with the family. It's gonna be on and popping. So I hope to see some of y'all out there. You might catch Brother Ashe out there, because you know he be out there interviewing folks. But I wanted to share a video with y'all, that someone sent me. I can't remember who it was, but someone sent it to me. I think it may have been Brother Tad. But anyway, when we talked about last week the psychological effects that this LGBTQ mafia is pushing on our people, it's growing. In fact, it is quite damaging. I was reading a report where they said 43% of elementary school students are fluid in their sexuality. Now, how do they come up with that number? Number one. Number two, if they aren't sexually active, where does the fluidity come in at? Why are they throwing these labels on these children today? Why are they pushing this propaganda? Well, today we're going to get into quite a few videos, and we'll check them out and come back and discuss it. And then tonight for our throwback, we have with us a video debate with the great Kwame Ture, as far as identity, right? When the conversation started about us identifying here in this country as African Americans as opposed to being Black, there were many debates that took place. And when you hear tonight's conversation, I want you to connect the dots with the conversations that are being had on social media today, as far as who deserves reparations, who doesn't, how do we identify ourselves, and the like. So we'll get into that a little later. Let me just show this clip. Now, somebody sent this. I'm pretty sure it was Brother Tad who sent this to me. A woman who's saying that she's going to make sure that her baby turn out gay. Now, this is an infant. This is an infant. How does an infant have a sexual identity, gay or straight or whatever? Where does this come from? Where does this come from? It comes from an indoctrination, a marketing indoctrination on society. So tonight, we're going to discuss a little bit. Let's play this clip and we'll come right back. Hold on, family. Give me a second here.
Hey, baby. Gay, baby. Gay, gay, gay. Please be gay. Oh, be what you want to be, but be gay. Okay? Thank you. No pressure, but pressure.
This is literally everything wrong with society. No, it's disturbing and it's indoctrination and it's disgusting. This is so terrible. All for her fetish and attention, and no.
It's a gay baby.
This is psychotic. This is what we're dealing with today. This is what our children are dealing with today. And you wonder why, they are so confused on so many levels. Not just that, but what about all of these reading materials and homework assignments that are being pushed on children around the world? This is just not in the United States, but around the globe. I'm sure most of you know. Let's listen to this clip of let's just listen to it. We'll come back and discuss these two. Hold on, family.
I've seen everything, but this one is just beyond words. It is a note from a constituent who says, "Hi, Bernie, this is a worksheet that my 10-year-old daughter brought home from school," and it includes a photo of the worksheet. "Part of her homework was to discuss with her father his erections and ejaculation. I find this very disturbing and sickening, as indeed do I have to say. I have complained to the school and was told it was just part of the curriculum. Can you advise who else I should make a complaint to? Well, I could go on for days who she could complain to. My daughter still plays with dolls and writes letters to the Tooth Fairy. There is no way any little girl should be told to ask these questions. Well, so say all of us. What the hell is going on in this state when 10-year-old girls are told to go home and talk to your father about his erections and about his ejaculations? What the hell is going on here? How the hell are we supposed to protect our kids when this sort of perversion is in our schools? This is what is being dished up to them on a daily basis in a primary school, not even a secondary school, a primary school. This is just unbelievable. It's staggering. I could not imagine the reaction. I have 3 daughters. I could not imagine the reaction of any of them if they were told to do that. They would be traumatized for life. I don't think they'd ever recover. I'm not sure I'd ever recover. This is just deplorable. This is just deplorable. And it seems to me to be a part of the ongoing war by the Andrews government against children, in particular, in this state. Let kids be kids. A 10-year-old girl should not be exposed to this sort of material. I think it is deplorable. It is deplorable. And I challenge anybody, just ask yourselves here tonight, would you be happy if you had a 10-year-old and she was told to go home to talk to her dad about his ejaculation and his erections? Would you be happy with that? Would you be relaxed about that? My God, I wouldn't be. I'd be horrified. Indeed, we should all be horrified. So I asked the minister to conduct an urgent investigation to remove this material and ensure that no other child is put in the situation that this poor 10-year-old little girl has been put into.
So you see the craziness that's going on here? You see this idiocy that's happening. This need to push this on children. They had a homework assignment where the child had to go home and ask the parent about their ejaculation. This is sick. This is crazy. You got ripped off, said that child needs to be removed. Absolutely. Whether you're talking about that or the woman who wanted her child to be gay, the infant. How? Brother P said that mother is pushing it on her baby. That baby has no idea whatsoever. The miseducation of the Negro is real. That's why the original book, Miseducation of the Negro, has a woman with chains around her forehead. Mic drop. Mic drop. For real. This society is called the devil civilization for reasons such as this. This is crazy. And everybody, mainstream media that is, wants to push under the rug the sexual deviancy of the elite. That's one of the things Brother Black was talking about before, when he was telling y'all about Hunter Biden, when he was telling y'all about what's going on in Ukraine. I don't know if y'all missed that. We got Brother Black on a check-in. Let's bring him in here. Brother Black, what's good with you? How you feeling?
Chilling. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, my brother.
Yeah, everything.
Trying to get Brother Tad in here. Just
okay.
Go ahead, brother.
Everything good. I'm ready to go. Let Tad in. Let's go.
We working it on. We working on it. He coming in a few minutes.
Okay.
So
Keisha, to your answer real quick. Answer to your question real quick. What I wanted to tell the people out there, look up. There was something I was made aware of about 5-6 years ago, where the cabal wanted to legalize something called the 12 perversions, and pedophilia is one of them. Of course, bestiality and a whole bunch of other stuff, 10 other items. but those are the main two that, because everything is going toward transgenderism and pedophilia, basically. It clouds everything. Just like how the Bayard Rustin admitted on his deathbed that the purpose of the civil rights movements was to push the gay rights agenda.
Say that again, brother. Hold on. Say that again. Nice and slow for the people.
The purpose of the civil rights arena, led by Martin Luther King, of course, was to have the gay rights movement piggyback on it and then overtake it, which it has already.
I'm telling you. And you know, a lot of people who are in mainstream media always like the big up Bayard Rustin, who was a pedophile. Let's be clear. The numerous arrests of him soliciting young boys on 135th Street in Harlem, the sexual relationship he had with his adoptive son, Nagel, I believe his name was, and they're always pushing him to the forefront. But I'm glad to see, Brother Black, a lot of people fighting back against this worldwide. If we don't protect the children, we might as well just throw in the towel. We might as well just throw in the towel for real. Let's play this video real quick and we'll come back. Hold on.
15-year-old daughter was raped. She was raped in a bathroom by a boy wearing girls' clothes, and the Loudoun County School Board covered it up because it would have interfered with their transgendered policy during Pride Month. And that man, Scott Smith, because he went to a school board and tried to defend his daughter's rights, was condemned internationally. Do you apologize to Scott Smith and his 15-year-old daughter, Judge?
Senator, anyone whose child was raped is the most horrific crime I can imagine, and is certainly entitled and protected by the First Amendment to protest to their school board about this.
But he was cited by the School Board Association as a domestic terrorist, which we now know that letter and those reports were the basis for your.
No,
this is
that's wrong.
Shameful. Judge, this is shameful. This testimony, your directive, your performance is shameful.
That's not.
Thank God you are not on the Supreme Court. You should resign in disgrace, Judge.
I mean, I'm glad to see people are finally waking up and talking about this. We got to remember that when Ayo Kamathi and Straight Black Pride movement started talking about the dangers of accepting the LGBTQ mafia's political agenda, societal agendas, that this was very dangerous. A lot of people said that, you know, we was crazy. We was a bunch of troublemakers. We need to stay out of that. We're making too much of it. But now people are waking up. Brother Black says, check out the 12 perversions. When you get a chance, family, check out the 12 perversions. Brother Black, that's what he was talking about. Brother P says, the children are the main target of this society by these freaks hiding behind suits and ties in offices. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, Brother Peace, we have to ask the voters, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And the push to continue to boycott Target and Budweiser and now Disney continues. I hope that, you know, the people will continue that fight and boycott these institutions that are pushing agendas on our people, in particular children. Brother Black, your thoughts on, you know, that piece as it relates to people identifying as trans, going into restrooms, beating up children, sexually assaulting children. Your thoughts on that?
Man, it's crazy because we saw this coming some years ago, and unfortunately, now, you know, as people, as me, you, Keisha, and most of the panel, or all of the panel for that matter, had we seen, if we had children who were school age still at this point, or even grandchildren, well, you know, you can't do it for your grandchildren, but the way I see it, people like us should have been ready 2-3 years ago to take our children out of the school, homeschool them, send them to a private school, You know, even if you couldn't pay for it, you work out some kind of deal with the school board or the school administration, because it's just going to get worse until it's over. And they just slowly chipping away until before you know it, these things happen. There was I hope you saw it, a video a few weeks ago. I saw it where there was a trans. It was, and they were all black people. It were trans a trans guy into a girl, and he went into the bathroom, so the girl wasn't comfortable telling him. So he said, "But I'm a girl." So she was like, "Nah." And then they went in the hallway, and she was pointing in his face, but she didn't touch him. And then he hit her, and then they started fighting. And then another girl jumped in, and I don't know what happened after that because it was a video, but it was at a school, I believe a high school, because they look young, really young, like high school age. And so it's just going to get worse because, you know, we trying to just stay alive with all the nuclear war tactics that they talking about and all these other things. That's, you know, that for us, it's not a big thing because we're not in school and we don't have to deal with that directly. But what about our children and grandchildren? So, I mean, the only advice I got for people out there with school-age children is to get them out of the schools as quick as possible. They dealing with this already. Tasky.
Hold on, brother Tad. You gotta unmute, brother Tad. Unmute. You back from the island of Hawaii.
Peace to the people.
He back from the island
Yes,
of Hawaii.
yes.
How was it, brother Tad? How are you? We glad to have you black with us, brother.
Oh man, it feel good to be back, man. I'm 3 shades darker and 10 pounds heavier. Life is good.
Like you was fighting Mike Tyson, bro.
Oh man, yo.
I can get a dime out of each
Life
bag.
is good. Life is good. Life is good. With all the craziness that we dealing with out here in the world.
Uh-oh, they got brother Tad frozen up.
Up.
He'll get it worked out. He'll get it worked out. But yeah, so with that, as Brother Black said, you know, we've always said that this was very problematic within this context, this political context, because what they've done, this LGBTQ mafia, what they've done is they have protected themselves politically as a protected class legally, right? So now any disagreement or any pushback can be used in a court of law as a hate crime now. We have literally voted ourselves into a box that we got to physically fight our way out of, because that's the only way it's going to happen. For real. Brother Tad, you back with us?
Yes,
I played that video that you sent me earlier this week with the sister, or she ain't my sister, black woman rather, trying to make her baby gay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna play it real quick, and then I'll let you come back with your thoughts, Brother Taz. You started this shenanigans, sending this stuff to me.
He been going weeks and you starting stuff.
Gay baby, gay. Please be gay. Oh, be what you want to be, but be gay. Okay. Thank you. No pressure, but pressure.
This is literally everything wrong with society. No, it's disturbing, and it's indoctrination, and it's disgusting. This is so terrible. All for her fetish and attention, and no.
Go ahead, Brother Tad. You the one who sent this craziness.
You know what I said? I effing hate her. I letter N, hate her. Because this is an indoctrination. It's so unfortunate. I mean, we laugh because, I mean, it's funny to us to keep from crying because the level of insanity that our people are subjected to and don't even think they're crazy. How are you sexualizing a child by saying that they're gay? You know, I was just having this conversation with someone earlier, and it's unfortunate that gay people identify themselves by their sexual behavior, because we don't necessarily do that. We don't run around saying, yeah, I'm a heterosexual man. We don't have to say that. We just are who we are. And I know some gay people, you won't know they're gay if they don't tell you. But it's this new community of LGBTQIA plus folks that just feels the need to stand out and say, I'm gay, I'm here, listen to me, my child is gay, this is gay. This foolishness is the stuff that got Dwayne Wade's son getting prepped and primed to be ravaged by some grizzly dudes out here who's just into that type of madness, because he's a child and they're sexualizing him. And not only are they sexualizing him, but they're sexualizing him backwards, if you know what I mean. Because, I mean, even if he was a straight boy and they're just talking about he going to get this girl, he going to get that, that's still wrong. Sexualizing children, whether they're homosexual or heterosexual, it's just wrong. Sexualization of children is a problem. It's a form of pedophilia. But here this woman is indoctrinating this baby with this lifestyle. And what people are not really putting on the table is the STDs and STIs that come with a lot of this perversion, this sexual freedom, this sexual fluidity. And it's just not with homosexuals, it's with heterosexuals too. But homosexuals are the only people who identify themselves by sex, by their sexual behavior. Me, I could start a group called Ass Smackers of America. Like, look, I like to smack some tail every now and then, and don't identify me as Brother Tad, identify me as an ass smacker. Like, see how foolish that sounds, right? But they don't get that bit. What they sound like. What, you say you only first one to sign up, Brother Blacksmith?
No. I said a tad bit.
Yeah, don't run up on those sisters talking about I'm an ass smacker.
And all pun intended.
Please don't do that. But you know, it's really crazy in it. And I always, you know, I said this before and I said this again. We have to reevaluate our value system as Black folks / African folks / indigenous folks, whatever we calling ourselves today. You know, whatever we calling ourselves, we have to analyze and critique. What is our value system? What are the things that we value most? What is our priorities? Because now we see this woman is sexualizing this child. But on the other end of the spectrum, you got dudes trying to turn our young boys into gangsters, having them devalue other Black lives. You know, just out here running them up, shooting people, robbing people, raping people. Is the insanity. So here I'm in Hawaii feeling safe. I normally don't walk the streets with flip-flops. I'm in Hawaii with flip-flops on, with not a care in the world, because that's not the energy that's there. You know what I'm saying? That's even when I see us, because we are some beautiful people. Us as a group is not on that type of time in Hawaii. One brother stopped me and my daughter. He was like, yo, if you get a chance, yo, it's a spot called Work Play. He said, I'm telling you this because this is where the Black folks hang out. And I love Black people. I was like, well, you talking to the right one, because I love Black folks too. And I love to hang out and party with our folks, you know. But it's unfortunate that when we're home, whether Bed-Stuy, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, we got to be mindful of where we go when we're there in the group. And Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. told us that, you know, be mindful of where we go when it's a whole bunch of us. He said, just don't go, period. And it's unfortunate that a lot of times we do see that. Somebody have one too many drinks, and then they'll just go off the cuff and they want to fight everybody in the party, and somebody want to shoot everybody in the violence. We just got to stop, man. We got to stop. And it's a personal accountability that we have to take on, because we know who planted the seed in our mind with the foolishness, but we have to stop nurturing that seed of ignorance. You know, I think Sister Keisha, we were texting earlier and she sent me a video. Sister Keisha, did you show the video yet?
No, I didn't. I was waiting for y'all to get in here. I ain't do it yet.
All right.
But I'm glad you on the vein that you are, because it plays right into that video. Go ahead.
Oh, that was sis, you know, you my sister from another mister. We always on the same vibe. But you know, it's collectively, what is our value system? Because The ops is gonna do what the ops is gonna do. The enemy is always gonna do what the enemy gonna do. But the thing is, what are we gonna do? But if we don't have a value system to even come up with a proper strategy and a game plan to prioritize what the next move is,
Froze up
we're
again.
gonna be like a dog chasing its tail. That's why you don't see us hollering BLM. We've been to Black Lives Matter without it being a catchy phrase. But then our brother King Darren Seals, peace be upon him, he forewarned us soon as they started, when he was down there in St. Louis, Missouri, after the murder of Mike Brown, because he was close to the Brown family. You know, he was helping organize with the Brown family. In fact, he was one of the lead organizers down in St. Louis, Missouri. You know, we had an opportunity to go down there and chop it up with him, you know, and we all stayed in contact, you know, via telephone and Zoom and whatever, you know, digital devices we were using to stay in tune. And it's unfortunate he met the same fate as Mike Brown, murdered by the police. It's no joke in certain places, you know, and they're murdering our people all around the country, particularly around the world. But in St. Louis, it's a different level. It's a different level
crazy.
that we can't comprehend. You would think it's some type of movie stuff, you know. We had our brother Chris Seltzer on.
Remember, we with the Dred Scott decision, the same area.
Right. That's right. With the Dred Scott decision was made.
I believe that real 1 second, brother Tad. I believe that the reason why that area is so crazy is, and I said this on the show before, is because of the energy coming from Cahokia, which is in East St. Louis, which is right across the river on the other side of the Mississippi. And I believe that's because that's the home, that is the central location of America, all the way up from the bottom of South America to the top of Canada and Alaska and all the way up there. So, and probably the ley lines over there, they keep it to a degree where they keep us killing each other so that they can harness that energy while we killing each other.
Right. Well, you know, I don't disagree with that at all, because we know it's all spiritual. We just operating on a physical level because most people aren't ready to take it to that space. But I agree with you 100%, because we don't realize that everything has energy. Even when you take it back to basic science that we learned in school, the difference of 10 pounds of cotton and 10 pounds of steel, which make cotton softer. The molecules vibrating on a slower frequency, so it makes it softer. What makes steel harder? They're operating on a faster frequency. We don't see it, but we know these things are moving. Everything is movement. And us as a group, we can't be stagnant as a collective. You know, I always say, think for yourself, but work for the group, because many of us are on our own individual journey. So we have to operate what's in our best interest as an individual, but let's never negate that we're part of a collective. And we have to be mindful of that also and do what's in the best interest of the group. This is why Malcolm was so valuable. This is why Dr. King was so valuable. Medgar Evers, Nat Turner, and so many others, Harriet Tubman, because they did what was in the interest for the group. They could have just got their knowledge. They could have just got their calling and dipped off from the crowd. Be like, you know what? I'm going to get free. Y'all figure it out the best way y'all can. But no, they did what they called for them to do. Their life purpose gave them eternal life to be mentioned in this conversation, to be mentioned forever, generations to come, because they wasn't selfish. And all of us have the same power. We just have to get our minds right, because it's so unfortunate. Many of us are influenced by outside control, and we don't tap into our higher selves to really hear that divine voice that's constantly telling us what to do, what direction to go in. You know, I always give props to my sister Keisha, because the divine voice is always talking to her and speaks through her. Think, we've been doing this for years, and when the brothers can't get on, Sister Keisha still holds it down. Still holds it down. There's times I might just fall asleep on the camera. Sister Keisha still holds it down. But that's her divinity. That's her ancestral sacred divinity that many of us have. but some are more in tune than others. But the whole thing is to tune out the outside noise and tap into your higher self. So
Yes,
you
sir.
can hear your calling, you can find your purpose. Because many people running around aimlessly. Man, yo, I got some good sleep in Hawaii. I had some clarity. And all I could do, Sister Keisha, Brother Blacksmith, was just thank the creators, thank my elders, thank my ancestors. You know, I'm so thankful because I can remember times where people was really just trying to cut my life short. I can remember times where judges was just trying to throw me under the jail. But here I was with the fam, just chilling on the beaches of Waikiki, watching the sun rise, sunset, enjoying life. You know, I did that for me and my children. And I try to help brothers that's still in the hood, that's still stuck. They be like, yo, Tad, how did you do it? How did you do it? Yo, every time I see you, you be chilling. I said, you got to pick a direction and go. Don't be stagnant. Don't be held down by our little inner circle that we have on the block. And unfortunately, as a collective, as Black folks, as African folks, as indigenous folks, that stagnant mentality permeates through our communities, through our hoods. So then it manifests itself in our music and then in our imagery that's manufactured by a whole nother group. And I'm sitting here watching other groups take control of their image, take control of the dialogue of who they are. Whether we talking about people from South America coming over here, whether we talking about the Ukrainians coming over here, people are coming with a collective consciousness and the idea of how they're moving and what's the purpose of their movement. Us, we still trying to push LGBTQIA onto our people. We still trying to justify the murder of our young people, talking about, oh, we was all young and wild at one time. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. So we gotta, regroup, revamp, and come back to the drawing board because our ancestors laid it out. And hopefully we get to hear from one of them tonight, and just give us a reminder, just a tap on the shoulder of the things we already know. But I'm gonna step off my soapbox. I'm just getting back from Hawaii. I'm just still in chill mode right now. That's why I'm a little cheesy or smiling and stuff. Yeah, life is good.
Love it. And glad you got to take a break because it's very important, especially for those of us who are active in our community, in our family, in our businesses. It's very, very important that we understand the need to take a break, to have clarity, to have peace of mind, right? To go to a place that would allow you to do that, right? To come out of the insanity that we find ourselves living on a day-to-day basis. So I wanted to show you all this video because you all have heard, as well as we have, the various conversations that have been happening online as far as African Americans and our identity. These conversations are not new. Of course, since we air on Thursday evenings, it's always good to have a throwback, right? So tonight we're going to look at a debate with the great Kwame Ture that took place in 1989. As it relates to what should we call ourselves, how should we identify. Now, in this debate, I want you all to pay attention to the commentary of the other guests, and then we'll stop it throughout this segment and have a discussion about what we're seeing. Okay, so hold on, family. Let me get this queued up, and we'll rock out.
Tonight, we look at one of the most vigorous internal debates in the Black community in the past decade. It's the issue of changing from Black to African American. It had only been 22 years since the last major name change had occurred. It happened just after a white racist shot James Meredith, the first Black graduate of Ole Miss. The shooting occurred on a southern highway as Meredith was leading a voter registration march from Memphis, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi. It so enraged student activist Stokely Carmichael that as he emerged from a Greenwood, Mississippi jail where he had been held for his voter registration work, the first words to emerge from his mouth were Black Power. It was the beginning of a major new phase in Black confidence and self-assertion that captured the imagination and stirred the consciousness of Black people all over the world. Now, according to some polls, a majority of Black people have said they prefer the term African American. But the issue is far from settled.
I prefer to be called African American because African American reflects the true nature of my cultural heritage.
And I think it's better for you to be called Black. What's wrong with that? It's different Black. It's Black Africans. It's Black West Indians, you know. Black is beautiful. That's what I have to say.
I'm an American, whether I'm a Black American or what, don't make any difference. I'm just an American.
You had the caucus in the election, they kept calling him Greek American. So being that every Black person over here has African heritage, you know, you should be called African American.
Editorials in both Black and white publications generally supported the call to use African American. The New York Times called it healthy archaeology, arguing that Blacks may now feel comfortable enough in their standing as citizens to adopt the family surname American, and their first name, African, conveys a pride in cultural heritage that all Americans cherish. Said the Chicago Defender, as the world continues to shrink, Americans who speak to their Africanness with the African American title will likely find the cultural, education, and economic relationship with others much smoother. Opinion also varied among the guests we interviewed in our special Black History Month series.
I always thought that Afro-American or African-American was the appropriate designation. And there is some beneficial effects in acknowledging the reality, the African heritage and the American presence. But that's not the critical issue. The critical issue is gaining power.
I believe that it is important for us as a people to think that we are connected to the world, because the African diaspora was for real. We were sent to different parts of the world.
Well, naturally, it's our heritage. But all of us here are really educated and exposed to American life. So is that we really are, we have to dig back for this ancestry. I mean, I'm not an African.
It's a very complicated question. So rather than argue over it, let's not give up Black, let's not give up Africa. So in all the work that I do, the essays I write, I use both interchangeably.
For more on the story, we turn now to four other people with different views. Kwame Ture is an organizer with the All African People's Revolutionary Party, a group attempting to politically unite African people living in 113 countries all over the world. It was his call for Black power in 1966, when he was known as Stokely Carmichael, that catapulted the term Black into popular usage. Leon Winter is a copy editor for the Wall Street Journal, and last week wrote an article that appeared on the journal's op-ed page called "This African American Still Feels Black." J. Bruce Llewellyn is a businessman who owns the 8th largest Coca-Cola bottling company in the country. He also owns television station WKBW, an ABC affiliate in Buffalo. Ramona Edlin is president of the National Urban Coalition. She proposed the name change at the Chicago meeting of Black leaders last December. And to you, Ms. Edlin, the current initiative is largely your brainchild. Why is it important to use that term and not Black?
Charlene, we have an opportunity to renew values such as mastery and learning, the importance of the family, unity, which is of the utmost importance right now, at a time when our children couldn't be in more distress and turmoil, when we face a new century, and it's up to us to be sure that the problem of the 21st century is not also the problem of the color line, as Du Bois prophesied in 1903 this century would be.
But how does how does African American affect all of that?
Well, we see, going back to African cultural ties, to the land base that is our mother, as crucial in this process. And what I'm hoping is that we can recreate some of the spirit of the movement years, particularly for the children, by going back to values which were stripped systematically from us, as we all know, when we were enslaved for 250 years in this nation.
Mr. Winter, you don't want to change from Black.
No, well, I don't disagree that it is important for us to be cognizant of where we come from and the depth of our history that began before slavery. I just don't see the particular need in calling for renewal of the movement to leapfrog over the 400 odd years of history and of proud accomplishments that we can point to and indeed need to reacquaint our children with here in this country first. So I believe that it is important to teach the children and to, in general, imbue Black America with the knowledge of where it comes from, but to focus this effort on claiming what is ours here as Americans, which is the country that we are citizens of and where we pay our taxes.
Mr. Llewellyn, you prefer the term American.
Well, I guess in all of my years on this earth, I've been called about 5 or 6 different things. I've been called Black. I've been called Afro-American. Now we're talking about African-American. I've been called Negro. I've been called colored. And what strikes me as a continuous theme or theorem in all of this is the fact that we never have been called full citizens of the United States of America. And what I'd like to see accomplished once and for all is that we are considered as full citizens and have all the rights and privileges there too. All I see is that people in Russia, people in Poland, people in Nicaragua are all packing their bags and heading for the United States of America, feeling it's some kind of panacea or a great place to be. And there must be something here that brings all these people. All I'm saying to you is that I think it's a disgrace that we have been here for well over 200 years and we have not enjoyed these full benefits that a lot of people have come here generation after generation and gotten. And I think that's the key. That's where we ought to go. I'll be very honest with you. If I had my druthers, I wouldn't be worrying so much about whether you call me African-American or not. I would like very much to see throughout this country, as other groups have put in museums called Holocaust, to see slavery museums, which would show our suffering, our contribution over the years up until the year 1989 as to what we have done to give something to America. I think to try and leapfrog back and take youngsters in 1989 and tell them about our agrarian background in Africa is almost impossible at this point in time. The other problem with this is I listened to one gentleman on the thing say, well, during the campaign, we talked about Michael Dukakis as being a Greek American. Well, Greek American pinpoints a country called Greece. African American does not pinpoint any country. It is a continent. And therefore, either you're going to play a game called European American or African American, or otherwise, again, we still haven't been able to refine ourselves down to where we come from, whether we come from Nigeria or Kenya.
All right, well, let me just go to Mr. Toure here. In the 1960s, as I said before, you were one of the ardent proponents of using the term Black. How do you feel now about abandoning it in favor of African American?
Well, I do not even use the term African American. I use the term Africans because that's what we are. We're Africans in America. There's nothing American about us. Our history has only been a history of struggle in America. We are the only ethnic group in America who have to shed our blood to make reform. To get the vote, we must shed our blood. To get our children to school, we must shed our blood. To get on a bus and sit where we want, we must shed our blood. To even get in a filthy 5 and 10 cent store, we must shed our blood. So I don't see how we could be American. We're Africans in America struggling against American capitalism. And only until it's destroyed will we enjoy the rights that everyone else is speaking of.
Well,
let's discuss this piece. Let me take this out for a second. Brother Tad, Brother Black, the different perspectives on what they should identify as. These are some of the reasons why agendas like the LGBTQ can creep in or seep into the mind frame of our people. Your thoughts, Brother Tad, on that clip?
All right. My thoughts on the clip, and I'm glad it's from 1989 because 1989 I was 16. I've learned a lot since then. And dealing with this American language, that's going to cause confusion in itself. Black describes what we look like. Black is an adjective of what we look like. That was put on us by those who kept us a captive. Africans are who we are, and we are captives in America. Of course, can't disagree with the elder ancestor Baba Kwame Ture. The brother who was owned the Pepsi Cola bottling company. He has some small points, but he was looking at the smaller picture because, of course, he's a capitalist and ain't nothing wrong with a few dollars. However, I think he should have been more studied in his position before he took it on, to talk about us being Americans. Now, from my personal family experience, I remember growing up, my grandmother would always say, "Who said I was black? Who said I was black?" I went to the Schomburg Research and Culture Center and looked up my great-grandmother's birth certificate. My grandmother, Anna Lewis, was born in Halifax County, Virginia on December 25th. I believe it was 1920 and 1921, something like that. Her birth certificate says Native American, I believe it says Cherokee, but identify her as an indigenous person. That's my great-grandmother, my grandmother's mother, who I knew personally. Her phone number was 857-6141. That was the phone we shared throughout the house when we had about 4 apartments in my building on Waverly. Her name was Ma. We just called her Ma. Her name was Anna Lewis. I saw my grandmother's birth certificate, who's still alive, Celia Cromwell, who's still alive. Hers say Negro. Her birth certificate says Negro. Now, how does a Native American give birth to a Negro? I don't know. That's something we still got to figure out. But then you got my mother's birth certificate, who says colored. And then you got my birth certificate that literally said black. And then my children's birth certificate says African American. It's very strange. And I keep saying, I keep forgetting to get it and just share with our audience, just to show that I'm not capping, I'm not making none of this stuff up. But I say all that to say, back to my original point, we have to define who we are. Because though my great-grandmother is indigenous, we're not going to act like I ain't have a great-grandfather or grandfathers who the Cromwell lineage was traced back to the Drayton Plantation in South Carolina, where the first Cromwell landed, who was African, landed on the Drayton Plantation in South Carolina. That's from my mother's father's lineage. And we're not even talking about my father's lineage, which is also documented coming from Africa, from the manifestos and plantation documents. So when we talk about Black or African, we got to understand that they're trying to move us away from Africa because they don't want us to have a proper stake and claim on Africa, because without Africa, none of this would be possible. None of this cobalt, none of these diamonds, none of this gold, none of this technology, none of this math, science, civilization, all of that is ours. But what they did when they gave us the term Black was use it as an analogy that Black is void. Black means death. Black has no life. You have nothing. Blackness is nothingness. So you are nothing. You were in the jungles when we found you swinging from trees. They don't tell us that we built the greatest empires, that we taught their theologians and philosophers, that the original teachers and scholars in Greece and Rome were actually African people. The first Britons were actually Africans. They negate the fact that Mozart had African blood. They negate that the dude who founded the Russian language, I forget his name, it escapes me right now, was a Black man. I think it was Vladimir Pushkin. Vladimir Pushkin.
That's right, yep.
There's so much that they try to deny us.
Even
I'm
real quick,
gonna give you the mic, bro.
Okay, once.
But even when we go back to biblical texts and we talk about what Jesus looked like, they describe the Black man with locks. But not only that, in Daniel 7:9, Daniel said he saw God. Not Jesus, he said he saw God, the supreme creator, Jehovah, Yahweh, the Alpha and Omega, Allah, whatever you want to call him. Daniel 7:9 said he saw God, and God was a Black man. So these are the things they try to keep from us, because as I was talking about earlier, the potential and the power that we all have if we stay tapped in, but they got all kinds of confusion. The devil is the author of confusion. So they got us arguing over who we are. I am Black. I am African. I am a Black African. So they're arguing over a mute point. We are Black and we are Africans. But why are we even debating something that's so elementary? I believe it was Dr. Amos Wilson, and I'm going to end on this point, said it. He said, when Black folks get education, the uneducated Black folks say you trying to act white. And he said he begged to differ. You're not trying to act white, because if you were trying to act white, you would be focusing on setting up your own state. You'd be focused on world domination, restoring yourself back where you belong. That's what white folks do. They focus on empowering themselves, not sharing power, not talking about equality, not talking about level the playing field, but how do I own and control my destiny? That's what we need to be talking about. But I'm gonna step off the stage right now, pass the mic to Brother Blacksmith.
Go ahead, Brother Black, and then we'll bring Sister Marcia in here.
I just wanted to say real quick that when you said when you talked about Pushkin, you know the drink, the Black Russian, right? It's vodka and milk, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's named after him. And I love when you said, Brother Tad, that why are we arguing over a point where we know we're pretty much, most of us, all one or the other, because there are people on this side of the earth who acknowledge themselves as indigenous to America, Amerindian, Native American, whatever you want to call it. And what I'm saying is those people, those FBA, whatever you want to call it, you know, that was a factor. That wasn't a factor at that time, because at that time, like being taught under the Jeffries and the Dr. Clarks and Benz and those people, Sheikh Anti-Diop, everybody, most people's concept of being African, or excuse me, being Black, let's say melanated in only the way us and Africans in the Caribbean are, for the most part, is different from the African. And a book to read or to get information on that factor is When Rocks Cry Out. And you know, it talks about how America, the Mississippi is the Nile, and the pyramids going up there was where Memphis and all that other stuff was popping off that they say happened in Egypt. Now, I didn't read the book for myself, so I can't say that expertly. I'm just saying that needs to be put in there too, because that was almost 40 years ago. So a lot of information, different information has come out. I'm not gonna hog the mic. Sister Marcia, what's up, baby?
Peace, sis.
Greetings, everyone. Good to see all my beautiful Black people. So, in the context of this conversation and how do we identify ourselves, I think we're still lost in the sauce, because still to this day, you know, these elders was having this conversation 40 years ago, plus 20 years before then, when Stokely Carmichael first coined the term of Black Power. And still right now today, we're still in search of Black Power, because there is no unity among us. And whether we are Black, whether we are African, I don't think that really has a stakehold in the suffrage that continues to happen. And if you don't see that we're still suffering as a people, then we're living in delusion. And I think that's the problem that we have living in America. You're living in a delusion. We have bigger problems to deal with, and we refuse to deal with the bigger problems because we love the struggle. We don't realize that once we unite, everything will become easier for us. But we rather struggle. There is something about struggle that says, oh, if I struggle and then I overcome. No, there's not I struggle and I overcome. I unite and I thrive with my people. My family advance. We are not advancing as a people. And that's why all these other propaganda agendas continues to metastasize in our community. But that's all I have to say on the idea of Black, African, or whatever. We are all delusional people living in America.
Let's continue with this conversation, because there's some more that I'm glad, you know, ancestors work in divine order because it's all right in line with what they're going to be discussing. Hold on, family. Here we go.
How you respond to that, Mr. Llewellyn?
Well, what he's trying to do is to change the name of the game or change the rules. And I haven't got time to change the rules. I've got to look at what is. I guess I'm more practical about this. Maybe the ideal panacea is to change the rules and make it all a kind of a equal socialistic state. But in the meantime, let's talk about what is. This is a capitalistic society. We are here. We are paying our taxes. We are doing work each and every day. And I think we have the right to participate. We have sent people to war since the revolutionary times and spilled our blood for America, from Crispus Attucks and the Revolutionary War all the way down through this Vietnam. So therefore, I want to get what you can construe as my piece of the action like everybody else has gotten. And it really annoys me to see people who haven't made this kind of contribution over the years come here and feel that they can claim it and get it. And we have done that.
You have a response, sir?
Of course. In the first place, just because we're in the capitalist system doesn't mean we must love it. We were made slaves. It doesn't mean that while you're a slave, you must love slavery. A conscious slave, by picking cotton on the plantation, is thinking about how to escape, how to bring freedom. Therefore, just because we're in capitalism doesn't mean we must enjoy it. We have to fight for an equal society. That's our history. Our people show that we spill blood instinctively to advance humanity. And we have this responsibility to advance America, yes, to a socialist state.
You would seem to imply from your comment that capitalism is utterly inconsistent with Africa and Africans.
It is.
But I would posit that that's not true. If you look again at the nations of Africa, if you look at African people in every country of the world, especially in recent times, they essentially want things. They want products. They want the things that it's, at least up to this point, demonstrated that only capitalism, with its imperfections and with its inequities, which hopefully some people believe can still be tamed, people want things. And I don't somehow see a worldwide Pan-Africanism as also spelling the death knell for capitalism at the same time. It seems inconsistent. There are too many people who want cars in Lagos, Nigeria. Last time I checked, the traffic jams are horrendous.
I don't think we can solve that one right now, but let me just go back to Ramona Edelin, because both Mr. Winter and Mr. Llewellyn talked about how they don't think it's possible to leapfrog over a lot of history and go back. It's impossible to go back to the agrarian life, that you can't even pinpoint a place in Africa where Black people come from, if I'm paraphrasing your comments correctly. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, our culture and heritage in Africa entail far more than agrarian economies. Mathematics and science were born in Africa, philosophy and religion. And as well as that, we've been accomplished musicians and dancers for centuries. There's so much in our cultural heritage that we need to recoup right now, particularly for the children. And it is possible to leapfrog, as they put it. As a matter of fact, it's not only possible, it's necessary. Because if you begin with slavery, then you will still have children looking in your eyes as they do in mine, in our cities and in the streets, and saying, what difference does it really make to you, to me, or to anyone else, whether I live or die, whether I take drugs, whether I kill another person, whether I learn anything in school? We have a responsibility. And I think that one way we can have a cultural renaissance is to identify with a land base that gave us the wonderful things about our nature and our culture.
Mr. Llewellyn?
Well, that all sounds very nice and wonderful, but I invite you to take a look at Africa right now and today and look at the situation in Eritrea against Ethiopia and all the other things that have happened, Biafra with the Nigerians and what have you. That, in my opinion, is idealistic and not the gut of the problem. The gut of the problem is something called values. The gut of the problem is something called family. The gut of the problem is something called importance. What do we construe and believe to be important?
I would submit that without a cultural offensive, without our unifying at this particular time and saying what we believe in and who we are and how we will train our children and what our families mean to us, that we will continue to have those same gut issues. That's precisely the point. We will continue unless we develop a cultural vehicle which will move us forward. All groups move forward by strength of their culture. It is a myth that individuals move forward. And certainly we cannot accept 2 or 3 of our group emerging year after year while the vast masses of us continue to go down. We have a responsibility.
Let me raise a point back to you, Kwame Ture. When you launched this move that resulted in Black being adopted as the defining symbol for African American people, many people felt that it helped to purge them of all the negative feelings about themselves, that it really represented the first major psychological break. And you heard the woman in the tape talk about Black is beautiful. I mean, that was the most positive affirmation of Blackness by Black people. What do you say to people now who say you simply cannot abandon the term that came to symbolize so much for Black people?
Human progress does not stand still. It moves. We came here as Africans. One of the first organizations we had fighting for us is known as the Free African Society. The very first independent organization we had in this country was the church. It was known as the African Methodist Episcopalian Church. So from Africans, our oppressor has changed us to colored, to Negro, to this, to that. We understand it's a step. Coming to Black had a powerful point, because the point was that we were oppressed because of this color of our skin, and this was racism. But this fight is not just a fight over the color of the skin. A fight for power is a fight for land. When Mr. Llewellyn speaks about power, he's talking about land. Our land is Africa. America is not our land. It belongs to the American Indians, and we have a right to stand and take a moral struggle with them. And we don't worry about people being for things. People want things is incorrect. The point is not to explain the world. The point is to change it. If the people want material things, then we have a responsibility to tell them that things more important than material things, like freedom.
Mr. Winter?
Well, I can't claim to have been there, indeed, when Black was coined, because I was somewhat in high school and I was on the listening end as, indeed, you were doing the talking. But it's always been my feeling that Black was more than the recognition of where our blood comes from. It has a lot to do with the experience of people of color in a larger sense under colonialism, whether it was external colonialism, let's say in the Caribbean, or the internal colonialism that we had to deal with here in the United States, rather than simply a statement of Africa. Because the fact is, we have become more than simply descendants of Africa. We have created a lot of what America is in our own image. When you talk about this cultural-based offensive, I would rather see us claim American culture, which is not European culture. America does not mean white. American doesn't mean white. It means a combination of European and African and Asian and the rest of the cultures of the whole world. This is what it
this with what's the name, Brother Leon here. This is you know, the conversation that is being had right now, right? Now he's including everybody, right? Asians, poor white people, humpbacks, midgets, everything. Everybody included now. You see what I'm saying? And this is where the confusion comes in. Our culture is supposed to be our protection mechanism, right? When you have, as our great teacher said, a fractured identity and a shattered consciousness, you cannot hone in on what your identity is, so then anybody can throw anything at you and you would adopt yourself to it. You had 2 of the panelists talking about Brother Leon from the Wall Street Journal and the other brother talking about identifying as Americans, as if that would help them alleviate the yokes of oppression. Your thoughts, Brother Tad, on that piece?
Yeah, they started to lose me, and I'm glad you hit it up. The fragmented consciousness. You know, I was sitting there listening, and I was thinking they weren't really qualified to have this conversation with the brother Kwame Ture or the sister. You know, they weren't qualified. I understood their points. I understood it, but that's elementary. That's low level. You know, you're talking about functioning in an oppressive society. You know, you're just talking about how to get by, how to just survive. And Baba Kwame Ture was talking about freedom and sovereignty. And that's nothing that they've mentioned. Not once did they say anything about freedom and sovereignty. They were talking about Africa one things. Yeah, there's always been an economic system, because I think they only view capitalism as the only economic system to exist, because they're caught in the Eurocentric paradigm. For them to say America is not even a white nation, or like, they bugged out. They're completely bugged out, because it's all about domination and control. They stole the land, slaughtered the indigenous people that was here, then trafficked a whole new group of people to work the land that they just stole. That's a criminal enterprise, if you ask me. So whoever's in charge of the criminal enterprise, it's their call. You can't be a Jamaican drug dealer talking about you run the mafia. Nah, you don't. You might run the shower posse, but this, as the mob call it, this thing of ours is Italians. Now, you may be able to operate and get your money with them like Al Sharpton, you know what I'm saying? But you are not really part of the mob. You may get your money with them, whatever, but that's an Italian thing. Just like the shower posse is Jamaican thing. So when you look at America, when you look at the founding fathers, show me what black men that they put up there and say, this is one of the founding fathers. The closest they'll give you is Chris McAddicks, and he was just the first one to get laid out on the strength of this country. Not in a position of power, not a shot caller, just a casualty of war. So we have to really understand where we are when we have these conversations. I'm not talking about us as a panel or the audience. I'm talking about people with that mindset that's so elementary. Here you talking about first grade lessons with collegiate people. You're talking about Africa, but you've never been. But even if you go back to the South, let's just keep the identity of black people. Let's just say that how many of us was raised in America, those of us who are American, black people, where most of our families come from, the South. What was the culture of the South, and where did that come from? That culture that we love and hold on to so much. See, until you go to Africa, you won't even know that that Southern culture is an African culture. Us operating in form of a community. Our economy wasn't based on cash, on the Eurocentric paradigm. It was based on goods and services, not necessarily money. You know, that's why till this day, we still have potluck when we have our family gathering. Everybody can't make the potato salad. We know that. So only one person gonna make the potato salad. We might trust somebody new with the mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? But everybody got their assignment, and they come together for the collective. That's a black thing in this terminology, something we got from the South that's really rooted in our African culture that they know nothing about because they haven't been introduced to it. So for them to even argue against Africa or being African, it doesn't serve them very well, particularly as people who want to be businessmen and quote unquote capitalists, because if they really understood business, they'd understand that Africa is the gold mine / breadbasket of the world. Everything that you want to do in business, they talk about people want things in Africa. But if they understood how Africa was divided by these same people that they're hailing, if they knew anything about the Berlin Conference, they would even understand that tribes were divided. When you get to Africa, when you get to West Africa, and you see the Ashanti Empire, it spans through Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, certain places. So when you deal with this Eurocentric paradigm, most people may or may not know that African presidents still answer to the king. There's a chain of command, there's a hierarchy going on. But guess what? The king still answers to the queen mother. There's a chain of command, there's a hierarchy. So when they talk all this feminism stuff, oh, black women, this is black. Once you get to Africa, you realize that's a moot point. Because the only person that could check the king, who runs everything, is the queen mother. She's either auntie, mommy, or grandma. That level of respect we still have. I'll show you the hardest killer in any hood. He'll kill everybody. But when grandma say cut it out, he go back to that little 10-year-old boy. Huh, grandma? He gonna tuck the gun away. I wasn't doing nothing. That reverence we have for black women, particularly our black women, our mothers, our aunties, our sisters. You know what I'm saying? But We are adopting other people's identity. And that's where we getting lost. And I'm glad the dude Llewellyn, what's his name? Brother Llewellyn, talked about the value system, because that's something I always talk about. We have to, as a group, have a collective value system. And we have it. We just have to reinforce it. Respect our elders, protect the sisters, protect the children. And for our sisters, they have to respect us. Brothers have to give the sisters a reason to respect us. But above and beyond everything, we have to respect ourselves. Real quick, and I'm going to pass the mic. On my way back yesterday, because I did a quick layover, spent the night in San Francisco. Coming back, I watched The Wiz. I just love The Wiz. But it's always good to go back and see them old movies of ours with fresh eyes. And everything they was talking about was self-development, self-improvement, honoring yourself, having integrity. That was always the order of the day, whether it was Dr. King or Malcolm. Not being a bad B, not being a real N. It was about being the best person you can be, because society is telling you you are so much less than, because that was the connotation of blackness when they said you black, created by Johann Friedrich Blumenbach and Karl Linnaeus, when they created the classification of the races. You know, they said the Caucasian, Mongolian, Native American, all that stuff. But then they put color on it. That's why I don't say people of color, because people of color include everybody. White is a color. Yellow is a color. Brown is a color. Red is a color. But how many of them on the front line taking them head bust for us? So I'm not so much concerned with people of color before I'm concerned with my black people / African people. And we have to create a collective cultural identity, and we definitely have to reconnect to Africa, because Africa is the future. Until you get on a plane and go to Africa, you won't even understand, because you'll see some people going home, but you'll see Indians, you'll see Chinese, you'll see white folks breaking their neck to get to the continent before you get there. And our people are sitting there waiting for us to return home. We were kidnapped. We were taken. If you're a parent and you have your child taken at 6 months old, 1 year old, 2 years old, 5 year old, at what point do you cut out the light and stop waiting for that child? You don't. You wait for that child till your dying day. And when that child do finally come home, no matter how many years go by, what do? You open your arms and embrace them. And when I went to Ghana and when I went to Ethiopia, as soon as I touched customs, they looked at my passport and said, welcome home. They didn't say that to Asian folks. They ain't say that to white folks. They said that to me. They ain't say, hey, what's up, Black American? Go back to America. They looked at me as an African and welcomed me home. It's very powerful, because we have a lot of opportunities that's not being talked about in the media for us to return home, and not just return home, but invest in our home, create better opportunities for our brothers and sisters there, as well as ourselves. So shout out to Mama Eileen, the Sankofa Spa Resort, because there's great things going on in the continent, and it's not being reported to us. Real quick, I'm past the mic. Remember when we was little and they would show us little African babies and say, for a price of a cup of coffee, you could feed the Ethiopian child in Africa? Now that we know about ethnicity and all that, we realize don't want even Ethiopians on TV. They was lying to us about them kids, messing our heads all up. Ethiopia got some of the best food and beautiful people you've ever seen. But they was lying. They constantly lying to us. Let's just stop buying the lie. But I'm step off my soapbox.
Agreed, brother Tad. Agreed, 100%. And again, family, once you have that connection, the message is very clear. The vision is very clear, right? Not too long ago, maybe about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, I had gone down to the Gullah Festival in South Carolina. And down there, I don't know if you all know, they have their own Yoruba tribe down there, right? So in meeting with the chief of the tribe down there, I had a reading where he was like, let me just read you. And because I see things in you. So quite a few of us had a reading. I think it was Baba Harold, Brother Monty, and my daughter Aaliyah. Quite a few of us had a reading. But anyway, so he was telling me everything that I was going to do. But I'm listening to him and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is not gonna happen, not with me. But however, that is exactly what has unfolding, including having this media platform, right? I never saw myself in doing that. But he said your connection to the homeland is so clear in your message, in your approach, in your walk, in your character, in your dress. This is what he was saying to me. So I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever. But and he said, as a matter of fact, to prove to you what I am saying, when you get back on your bus, because we had come down on buses, but when you get back on the bus, in your seat there will be some money there waiting for you. I'm going to show you how clear I see your ancestors are rooting for you, right? He said prosperity and wealth is sure to meet your feet. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to have you some money when I get on this bus or whatever. So going throughout the day, we did what we did, and getting back on the bus to return home, in the crease of the seats, was finally small wrapped $50 bill. Neither no persons from the Yoruba tribe was on the bus, excuse me. None of them came down with us. In fact, we met them all down there. But again, and it was not visible. I just happened to rub my hand up against the seat, pressing yourself up to sit right. And there was $50 in the crease. Prior to that, he had put some oil all over my hands. And I had told Sister Ollie McLean, peace be upon her, what he had said to me. So she was like, yeah, give me some of that oil. I'm going to rub it on my hands. But sure enough, there was $50 in the crease. So it kind of blew my mind. So what I did with the $50, I donated to Sankofa Academy, right? Because one of the things that he said, you are quite generous. And that's why your ancestors will always take care of you. You will never be without, right? So I had given her that $50, and a few weeks later, more monetary gain came towards my hands. But you have to understand what cultural identity is, and the reason why the societal elites are trying to get you to forget who you are, what you are, and how you move. Sister Marcia, your thoughts on that clip?
Well, it was really interesting how the brother was like, the Pepsi Cola guy was like, oh, my tax dollars this and my tax dollars that. But your tax dollars, who's supposed to be funding the educational system, is failing our educational system today. And if we had more fortitude in bringing in our stories into the classrooms, do you know what a tremendous change that would have been? 1998 till today, that's like 30 years or more or less, but that would have changed the dynamics. And yet today they're pushing all different types of education in the classroom, but you can't learn about who you are. Your children can't learn about who you are, and yet you refuse to pull your children out of their system to another system because I pay my tax dollars. But your tax dollars are failing you. And we fail to follow the money. Like you say, if it's not working, pull your money out. Just, like, hey, this is not working for me and mine. Do something about it, but yet we won't do anything about it. Oh, they're doing this. And I ask parents all the time, if you don't want your children to learn about certain things, pull your children out of school. Do something else. What else am I going to do? Be creative. There are enough environments around us that are creating solvent solutions for our people, but yet we don't trust them, but yet you send your child to school to a place where you don't trust. So I don't understand. I don't understand. And to the mama's point, culture is our vehicle. Culture is our only vehicle that's going to stop us from the demise that is happening. That whole drill music and all of those children weren't raised in environments with culture around them, unfortunately. And we have to somehow re-ingest the economy of culture in our Black environments as much as possible. We shouldn't just be waiting for a BAM so that everyone shows up at a BAM or African Street Festival and everyone shows up there and then walks away, because you're walking away with nothing. We need more than those events, because those events aren't culture. And like I said, we can pour all the money for an event, for a party, but we won't pour the money into organizing and doing the right stuff for the future, for the children. But that's all I have to say about that.
See, my brother Ashe SJ, the fire god, is getting ready. While he getting ready, let me cue up this clip of Dr. Amos Wilson because it falls right in line with what we've been discussing, family. Hold on a second.
Your Africanness. I'm telling you, when you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back and you're going to get your intelligence back. I'll guarantee you. Their own education. And when they take responsibility in terms of their own Africanness and their own identity, when they don't spend all of their lives trying to escape from their Africanness, when they don't believe that to be called African is a curse, you see, when they don't run from their Africanness, but they run to it and they embrace it and they become a part of it. Let's see what happens to their learning when they decide and say out loud that I'm Black and I'm proud, and that I'm African and I'm proud. Of equating sameness with equality. You want your children to have the same education as white children. Then if you do, you want them to stay oppressed. Yes. You don't want them to be educated in terms of their unique history. You don't want them to be educated in terms of their learning styles. You don't want them to be educated in terms of the problems they have to solve for themselves. You don't want them to be educated in terms of the reality of the fact that they are oppressed, not white children. No, you want them educated as if they were white children. That is the surest way to maintain oppression.
There you have it, family. There you have it. You all you gotta do is bring the ancestors in. That's all you gotta do. Bring the ancestors in. They make it plain for you. Brother Ashe SJ, the fire god, is in with us. What's up, brother Ashe?
Yeah. Everything is great. I was listening to the convo in the background. Once again, Keisha selected an amazing video, one that I frequented numerous times because of that conversation. Is still relevant to this day right now, where we have people creating other terms like ADOS, FBA, which is what foundational Black American. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is a conversation, unfortunately, that just keeps happening, going on a merry-go-round in circles and circles. But I still do think that, these conversations are productive, but they're only productive when we actually have an action plan after these conversations. And that's the problem. A lot of times we have these debates within ourselves and we don't jot things down and have an action plan and a step-by-step process of what we took out of that debate and how we're going to move forward. Every one of those individuals that you saw in that debate left that table and left that discussion go in the same opposite direction that they was when they came to the table. You know what I'm saying? So how many people really bonded and say, you know what, that idea you said, I actually like that, and I think we could build upon that. Maybe we take something from what I said and add it to what you said, and then we meet the middle line where everything is actually working out for our people. But most people get their ego involved, where they're like, oh shoot, I'm on camera, or not. Even if you're not on camera, I got this much studies, You know what I'm saying? I got this much experience. You can't tell me nothing. Instead of coming together and be like, yo, let's take the pieces from your puzzle and from this puzzle and create our own puzzle. You know, so unfortunately, a lot of these discussions do become unproductive. But at the end of the day, really, I like what that sister said about culture, you know, because I feel like when we talk about unifying, right? Like, of course, we know that we need unity, but who do we need unity with? You know what I'm saying? Because we can't just be blindly out here unified with all of the people out here that's damaged and don't want to fix it and don't want to heal themselves and don't want to come together collectively to make something productive. We can't just be identifying with everybody that's just ready to freeload. We got to identify with the people that have the same vision, the same like mind, the same heart, and the same goals that we have. And then hopefully down the line, the people that don't will be inspired to follow the same path and walk this path. You know what I'm saying? That's who we need to unite with. And I feel like the culture is very important because when and I took something from what everybody said on that panel. You know what I'm saying? The light-skinned dude was saying something about he said something about it's about morals and it's about principles. That's very true. That's valid. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't unify and say we're going to unify and all of that, and then everybody don't got the same principles and the same goals. So this is why Ashe always going to bring it back home to is principles and morals, working on your character, because that's the only way you're going to decide and figure out who you are. You can't say, oh, I'm an African and I'm this and I'm that. Yeah, you are African, but you could be a unrighteous African. You could be an unconscious African. You could be a more detrimental African to yourself than a goddamn non-African or whatever they want to call themselves, a maroon, Moorish, you know what I'm saying? All of these people that just black, foundational black American, ADOS, whatever, you know what I'm saying? We know these people that's claiming these things are the same people as us, but we just all confused. You know what I'm saying? So some of them people might have their heart in the right place and they really want to do something, but we get caught up in the semantics of this. So now it's like we can't take the piece from their puzzle and the piece from our puzzle and make it work. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it becomes unproductive. But I will start with culture as well and say that we can't just unify from the jump. We have to unify first with people that are like-minded, because those people are going to be the builders. The people that are like-minded, when you building something, you have a blueprint. You have a draft. You can't have a draft and a blueprint for a building and somebody saying, oh, we doing a skyscraper, and the other person saying, no, we going to build underground, or we just doing one level. You know what I'm saying? You got to have the blueprint mapped out. You know, it's architecture, not just architecture building buildings, but nation building. That's architecture as well. You know, and the architecture of that, we have to have, like Tad said, everybody play their part, everybody play their position. But at the same time, in that position, we are united based on culture, based on morals, principles, and based on the end goal. And that's what it really is about, that end goal, because a lot of us are just talking and we're not really, like my sister Marcia said, we're not building nothing. We're not doing anything. So if you ain't building, you ain't about doing nothing, don't talk. Like, you're not going to see me at no debate or at no round table having a discussion. I went to plenty of events. Marcia said Dance Africa, other events. Like, we had even some think tanks, black think tanks. We had men's groups. I never went to them, but I know there's plenty of women's groups out there as well, or black men and women's group think tanks. You come together, you go to some event, and it seemed like we strategizing, but then when you get there, it's more like venting. It's like this is a therapy session. Like, we just came here to vent our frustrations and say this and say that, and then name a title of a book that we read and an author. And then after we say that, then we head home, going right to McDonald's and eating crazy stuff and head home. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's unfortunate, but like, we seem to think that that's doing something. We seem to think that that is accomplishing something when we don't really have anything concrete that we can have for ourselves and for the children. So me personally, I've been on my journey, but I'm on my wellness journey. I'm on my mindful journey. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I just started a new thing. I'm going to share it with y'all. I never did it. I did it as a kid, but I'm doing it again now. I just started journaling. And shout out, if a lot of people in the listening audience is doing that, y'all should do that. If you're doing it, shout out to y'all. I'm late with it. But I just started journaling. In my journal, not just journaling, but I also have like tasks. Like I don't call it a to-do list. I call it like habits, like positive habits, things that I need to do to get myself a step forward in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I put down what I need to do every day, little things, big things. I check it off as the day go by. The end of the day, I check it off. I see what I did, what I didn't do, so I could be better the next day. That's goal oriented. Those are ways that you can get tangible results. But a lot of us, we don't even know how to do that for ourselves. So how are we going to figure out how to heal a whole goddamn nation, or even more so a race of people, when we can't even do that for ourselves? We can't even goal set for ourselves. But that's what happens. So now we get a lot of people that are educated that their highest goal was getting this degree from college or grad school, or becoming a doctor or whatever, or even having Africana studies, and that's their highest goal. So now they feel like, oh, they a scholar, they a professor, they a doctor, Africana studies. They achieved their goal. Now all they got to do is kick back and talk and say a couple quotes from books, and they did their part as a warrior, as an African healer. That's not really it, family. We need more than that, because we had African scholars and African warriors for the long time, for the longest time, since even before we came here. When we had other wars on the continent, we had African scholars and warriors. That's not enough. Everybody played a part, but everybody also got to be able to multitask. You know what I'm saying? And not just stick to one thing, because look, if that spear fall, you might have to pick it up. If that warrior fall, that sister fall, you're going to have to pick up and play your part. And right now, we've been so many years and years after years that we've been like in a deficit. We can't afford to only do one job. We can't, family. You know, but at least I'm not trying to intimidate nobody. Let's start with one job, please. Start with one job. Take it from Ashe. Let that one job be working on yourself. Let that one job be working on yourself. After you hold yourself down and build yourself up, everything else is going to come natural, because you're going to attract success. You're going to attract productiveness. That's how it works. So that's what I'm on right now. But culture, definitely important. Unifying, definitely important. What we call ourselves, I mean, to an extent, it's important, but that's only important in relationship to other people. And that's what we forget. Like, yeah, we have a relationship with other people in the world, but we also have the ability to be self-sufficient and heal ourselves. We already know the black dot buying power. We know our spending power. We know we got all the things like Tad mentioned, cobalt, all of these resources. We know that. Yeah, reparations is one goal. But who's to say that? I want reparations for sure. They owe us. But who's to say that that's the only way we could go to get healed? Who's to say that we can't heal ourselves with what we got right now and then fight for our reparations after that when we even stronger? But everybody is just so one-track minded. It's many different strategies on the battlefield. And a lot of us is only focusing on one thing, which is just going to school, get an education, get a job, and then chit-chatting on
American dream. Yeah.
I'm gonna pass the mic with that.
Now you dropped it. And for those who want to help Bill, donate to the FDMG and get a free McRib. Yeah. Brother.
I cannot with these two. I cannot. But also, you know, I want you all to, you know, because now we're coming up on primary season, right? A lot of elections are taking place. I'm going to be on a Zoom for the councilmanic district debate for where I reside. If you want to watch a debate for whatever candidates are running in your district, your councilmanic district, you could go to nyc.gov, put in your district, find out when the debate is taking place, and check it out. So I will be watching mine. But I want you all to be mindful of people they put in front of us, again, to deter you from what is. Let's look at a clip with our brother Malcolm, and then we'll go back to that conversation with brother Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael. Hold on, family.
Large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals.
These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
Again, don't be deterred, family. Don't let these people get in front of you and offer these commentaries, taking you away from your cultural stance. Now they're telling you you're people of color. All of these persons that were listed in that video will say the same thing. You are persons of color. You are, a part of a greater society, that they have to look at everything and everybody. So I want you all just to be mindful about what's coming down the pike so that we are not confused about what's happening. Let's continue our conversation and then we'll close this out, family.
Immediately in front of us.
Maybe I should say, Charlene, that the cultural offensive is going to entail agenda setting, goal setting, working together to achieve our purposes. As you well know, Charlene, in the movement years, when you decided to desegregate the University of Georgia along with Ham, we were unified around your decision. We were purposeful. We were powerful. There was a sense of destiny, and we achieved our goals. What we are so sadly lacking now is any sense of purpose or destiny. We are not setting agendas. We are not working together, though we're working very hard.
But is that because we don't have the right name?
Well, the name change is the first step in what we hope will be a self-conscious examination of our culture, going back to our ancient as well as our contemporary strengths, and pulling together a vehicle which will be more useful to us than the one that we are now engaged in. If anyone is satisfied with the status quo, I'm not aware of it, particularly our children.
Mr. Llewellyn, just very briefly, do you see this as a critical stage in the evolution of?
I swear, I do not know why people keep talking about what the container is called. It's what's the content of the container. This won't get us into the 21st century unless our kids can read, write, compute, and be able to compete in this country to make a living and to make progress. If that doesn't take place, we can put African American on them, we can put Negro on them, we can put anything you want to put on them, but they're not going to play the game in the 21st century because the field is getting tougher and tougher, and this not a level field.
Bruce says wait, just a minute. Let me just we're about to run out of time. Mr. Teray, a final comment on that point.
The error of the thinking here is that most people think that Africans in America came here just like other immigrant groups did. All other immigrants came to America expecting a better way of life. We started in hell, which was a slave ship, and we're still in hell. This incorrect assumption makes it appear as if we've made a contribution with our culture. Our culture has been trampled upon, not the others. Any contribution we've made to America is the test of the strength of our culture in spite of this oppression. We are Africans, and that's exactly where we're going.
Is the term, in your view, is that where you end it? Is that where it stops?
The content was African. The label has been changed to confuse us. If we came as Africans, how do we end up as Americans? How do we
I would beg to differ here that my ancestors came here in a slave boat. They didn't. They came from the island of Jamaica, and they came on their own because they thought it was a better place to be than Jamaica.
How did they get to Jamaica? They came as slaves to Jamaica. I was born in Trinidad. That's where the slave ship dropped them. We're all slaves. We're all slaves.
We can't solve this one.
Jamaica, or who did you decide to drop in Jamaica? The white man dropped you in Jamaica and brought you to Mississippi. Right. So you don't define yourself by the enemy?
No, I define myself as the fighting place is where I'm at. Not where I used to be or where I thought I was.
So if you were fighting on a slave ship, so if you're fighting on a slave ship, we fought on the slave ships. We fought on the slave ships. Did you call yourself a warder?
And you're still fighting in 1989, right here in New York City.
Until Africa is free, we won't be free.
All right, one final practical note.
Wow.
There it is. There it is.
He lost.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
Like Ty said, they not qualified.
But this is
and the sad thing about it.
I didn't come on a slave ship. I came from Jamaica.
But these are the commentaries that we're hearing today. The same
Yes,
and we're hearing today.
Yes.
But Sister Keisha, real quick, that reminds me of a scene in the movie Mandingo. Remember when the plantation owner took him to South Carolina slave? Took him to the South Carolina plantation, and he saw the black dude in the suit, and he said, "You's a nigga." The man Dingo said to him, he said, I'm not a nigga, I'm a South Carolina slave. And he was so proud to say he was a slave. Yo, I was like, yo, that's what the dude Llewellyn just sounded like. I'm a South Carolina slave.
Wow.
So uppity in your oppression. Go back and look at man
Because
Dingo.
you know, this is why I respect Kwame Ture, because he comes in, he knows who he is. He comes in and he's willing to work with the people here and fight for their oppression. This other guy put his head down and forgot about anything else that happened to his parents or why his parents left their home country. They left their home country because something wasn't right. And they had the fortitude of brothers and sisters who fought before he arrived to give him a pathway. And he's negating the pathway that was created for him. That's disgusting. And as a child of immigrant, I hate to hear my cousins, my brothers and sisters, anyone who speaks like that guy, Bruce, y'all could go back to the trash can, because your parents didn't come here because they wanted to or because it was better living. They came here because they couldn't fight where they were at. So they could come here, put their head down and work and provide for you. Great. But where you are, after you realize what's happening, you have to help the brothers and sisters fight. Somebody has to help people fight. If you're not fighting at home, then you got to fight abroad. But you got to fight. You can't escape the fight. You just can't. But thank you, Kwame, for all the inspiring words, Baba.
Yo,
You keep us alive.
His birthday is actually the 29th. I don't know if you mentioned that, but this is perfect timing. This month, June 29th, is Kwame Ture's birthday. And I had the privilege of seeing his birthplace when I went to Trinidad. I have a picture. It might be on my Facebook somewhere, but I went to the hood in Trinidad and Port of Spain and saw the house where he lives in. It's still up there, still standing. They have a plaque on the wall that says that he lived there. And right now it's like a shelter. So it's still serving a purpose for the people. You know what I'm saying? And definitely ashe to that ancestor. And, with his birthday coming up, this is perfect time for us to segue into that and just reread and relive the things and experiences that he gave us, because that was one of the most powerful elders that we had, for real. Stokely Carmichael Kwame Ture, and we'd be remiss to not mention Mama Africa, Miriam Makeba, his wife. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that on another show and just refresh that. But what that light skinned dude was saying was like just brainwash. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell when Kwame Ture put him in his place, you could tell like the fire inside of him kind of went away because he didn't even realize that. Like he's so programmed to think that, oh, his parents did. It's like that's what he was told. His parents came for a better way. You know what I'm saying? So he lived with that his whole life and trying to separate himself from the other Africans wherever they came from because his parents made the decision to come. You know what I'm saying? But when Kwame Ture said, well, who was you before that? It just reminds me of the same conversation as the ADOS, the FBA, the Moors, the Native Americans, Cherokee, whatever black people say that they are, that they got in their family and all of that. People that say they're indigenous to America. Listen, we get that. We get the lineage, but what we're talking about is who was you before that? Who was you before all of that? Because if we talk about genealogy, your origins is going to say African. If we talk about the oldest bones that was found on a planet, that's Africa. Civilization started in Africa. Pangea, one landmass, one body of land, if you subscribe to that. So we all come from the same place, and the oldest bones is Africa. So even if you say, oh, you indigenous to here and there, well, what about before that? You African. Whatever we want to call ourselves, our Kabbalah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, look, we just got to unite on culture first and what our goal is. You know what I'm saying? And all of these other conversations, we could discuss that in-house. But right now, we can't even get the goddamn bill signed to get funded to even Do the research to figure out what we're gonna unify as. We still ain't get that bill passed with the government where they supposed to give us money to figure out what reparations is gonna be. That's just money to research it. So if we don't got the money to research it, how far away y'all think we are to actually getting reparations? This is what I'm saying. We got a multitask, family. It's multiple battles, it's multiple fights. We can fight this fight and study and do the research and fight that. At the same time, Ashe, I'm speaking for myself, I fully know that we have the ability right now to use the resources that we already have to free ourselves, to heal ourselves, and to be prosperous. Now, all that old money and all of that the money that is owed to us, oh, we gonna get that. Trust me, I ain't saying we letting that go. But I'm saying if we sit here and keep making excuses up that, oh, we ain't gonna never be none because they ain't pay us our reparations. We never know. They probably have no intentions at all to pay us our reparations. I know some of y'all say it's the good white folk out there. The good white folk want to pay us our reparations. They just don't know what it is.
Shout out to Sean King.
Exactly.
He's a good white folk.
You know what I'm saying? So by any means necessary, in the words of Baba Malcolm, we got to get this freedom, family. So let's not make excuses. I see Keisha got another video. What we talking about here? Oh, that's Tonkin.
Yeah, definitely. I saw recently. I viewed a documentary on Amazon Prime, and the name of it is "The Sun Rises in the East." You guys could check it out on Prime if you want to. But this Sister Marcia, Brother Black, Brother Tad, Brother Ashe, is about an organization founded by G2 Uzi and some others. In this piece, you find out about the greatness that organization was. Mtume was a member of the East. You find out where the crossing of the arms that you see in the movie Black Panther originated here in Brooklyn. Again, we started this program talking about what's taking place in Brooklyn right now. So I want you all to check out this trailer, and then, over the weekend, hopefully you could check this out on Amazon Prime or wherever you may find it. But it just so happens that's where I saw it at. So we're going to give a shout out to Bed-Stuy in the building. Brother Tad, Brother Ashe's hometown. Here we go, family. Check this out.
Struggle of the Black community to establish yourself, to obtain self-determination, to obtain dignity, and to obtain liberation.
We are the original Wakanda children.
The idea that we could bring the greatest musicians in the world to the East and that they would perform in Bedford-Stuyvesant right here was something that was unique.
Nation building, of course, has to be built on institutions.
Then we had our food store.
Kanunawana Food Cooperative.
Black News newspaper. Out of Black News, there became a publishing company called East Publishers.
Babazi Clothing Shop. East Records.
We had a bookstore. The bookstore was called Akiba and Koo.
East Kitchen and Caterers.
Sweet East Restaurant.
Imani Child Development Center. Evening School of Knowledge.
The International African Arts Festival.
The East was filled with youthful exuberance. All the young people basically very, very gung-ho.
For me, I could say I was almost born again as a Black man at the East.
It was about building that self-esteem in us to be who we are as an African people and know that we have a right to be here.
And so was it able to, bring us to the promised land? No, of course not. Did it take us a few steps toward that and our liberation? Hell yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Definitely, family. In your time, check out that piece, and I'm guarantee you will be enlightened, and you will also see what happened with a lot of Black organizations when it becomes more than an organization and it moves into cultism. So next week we'll be talking about that. I'm glad Brother Ashe mentioned the birthday of Kwame Ture. Throughout this month, we will be showing, throwback videos of some of our ancestors who either born or transitioned or did great things in the month of June. So, get ready for what's to come this summer from Thorough Black Talk Worldview. We got a lot on the table, family. I'm not going to hold you all much longer. We're going to get ready to roll out. Special shout out to Sister Marie Raymond. I met her this past weekend at the Brooklyn Bazaar, all the way from Baltimore. Brother Black, her sisters from the Bronx was with her. So, we got to meet each other. It's good when you see people who view our program and, they get to touch us. And, she gave special shout outs to you, Brother Tad, Brother Ashe, and the crew, Brother Black, Sister Marcia. So, we outside this summer. We outside. Let's get ready to close this out. Brother Black, your final thoughts and comments.
All right, I'm in. Yeah, as far as identity, very good show, Sister Keisha. I thank you. Brother Ashe, pleasure to see you again after such a few weeks. And just a great show. As far as identity, what I want to say, and I've said this before on this show, and you guys in other ways have said the same. I want to love on my.
Uh-oh, we got Brother Black frozen up. Sister Marcia, you take it. Let's go.
I want to say thank you. Remember that we are first and foremost African people. We live in a delusional country. Let's make sure that we become solvent in our quest for liberation. May my aunt be at a forefront of our value system. And if you don't know my aunt, learn just the 7 principles. You don't have to go deep. Learn the 7. With the 7, you'll grow more. But learn the 7 principles of my aunt. Help yourself, help your family. Because like Ashe said, journaling is a good thing to give you clarity and bring you back to life. May time flourish with us all. Brother Tad, Brother Ashe, great to see you guys again. Sister Keisha, thank you again for having me on the show. And again, may time flourish, Black people.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Brother Ashe SJ, the Fire God. Your final thoughts and comments.
Yeah. It's good to see my bro Ty. You got a tan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hawaii, baby.
That's what's up, man. Just work on yourself, family. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that try to get into the movement and try to do work, it ends up fruitless because they didn't start in the right place. They didn't start with themselves. They're not even the person they not qualified to sit at the table with Dr. Kwame Ture or with any other African that's solid, that's really genuine and putting their left foot forward and really doing work. So you want to make sure you qualify before you even step on the battlefield. You want to make sure you trained. Your background is right. So you got to start with yourself, family. So write a goal down, work on your discipline. Stop doing certain things that you know is not good for you. Take a baby step. It could be one thing that you decide for the week. One thing. And you just do that for the whole week. And then next week you focus on another one. But let's really build. Let's really grow, family. I want us all to be happy, be healthy, be successful. And we're going to free our people through that just by attraction, family. So it's your brother Ashe SJ signing off. Always remember, true courage is knowing how to suffer. And the battlefield is where you stand. Brother Tad.
Yeah. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be Black. And I'm glad to be African. All right, family. Again, like Brother Ashe said, I got to echo his points. Definitely work on yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's something that's very important, because if you're not strong enough to move the movement forward, you become the weak link in the chain. And nobody wants to be the weak link. Like I said, tap in your inner divinity. You know what I'm saying? That divine spirit that talks to all of us. Journaling is good. It cleans out the mind. If you find yourself always thinking, overthinking things, get it out on paper, manifest it. In the beginning was the word. But before there was the word, there was the thought. All right? So we have to take our thoughts, put it out, let it turn into our words, let our words manifest, let our knowledge be born. Let's do the right thing, not the wrong thing. All right? But I'm just happy to be back. I'm happy to see you, Brother Ashe, Sister Keisha, Sister Marcia, Brother Blacksmith, who've been in and out, popping in and out on us, and our audience. All right? So hopefully you learned something tonight. Your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true. And remember, no matter how hard things may seem right now, it's always better days ahead. Sister Keisha.
We ain't gonna let you go away that fast, Brother Tag, because we know Better Days Ahead Fitness Boot Camp is starting again this summer. You gotta let the people know what it is. How can they be down? Get fit, because these Urugos out here is on 10. Go ahead,
Yes,
Brother
they
Tag.
are. Yes, they are. So as y'all see, I got a little more tan. I told folks when I was going away, I said I'm gonna come back 3 shades darker and 10 pounds heavier. So now it's time to shed that off. So this Saturday, June 3rd in Brooklyn, Prospect Park, we're going to be working out, doing a free session for our boot camp, Better Days Ahead Fitness Boot Camp. We're having a free session Saturday at 9 a.m. You enter on the Ocean Avenue side and Parkside Avenue side, and you walk along the path right near the water. You can't miss this. Ask anybody where's the pond, they'll point you in that direction, and that's where we will be from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then after 10 a.m., I will be doing a live session with my sister D at Black Achievement Fund on a Zoom conference. We'll get the link. We'll throw that up also. You know, we have a little accountability group, you know, where we talk about setting our goals. So right now what we're doing is we're increasing our water intake. And this is particularly for people who's over 55, you know, just getting back into the movement for daily living. So we'll be doing squats. We'll be doing particular push-ups off of high platforms. You know, but tune in to Black Achievement Fund. Again, Better Days Ahead Fitness, June 3rd. But we definitely going to be back out there every Saturday, rain or shine. Find your level of dedication and commitment, because we definitely going ham. And I just finished my ebook while I was in Hawaii also, so I'm putting the finishing touches on that, fine-tuning that. It's pretty much in the line with Brother Ashe was talking about, because I do journal. I've been journaling for years. So sometimes when y'all don't see me, I'm really taking a mental health break and you know, practicing self-care, because we really got to be in the best shape, family. We really being distracted and attacked from all angles. And as Brother Ashe had brought up a point earlier, you want to organize people, start in your family. You know what I'm saying? I'm big on that. You know, you gotta prove yourself a leader. So you work on your character, you work on your Iwa, work on that within your inner circle. None of us are perfect. We're not looking for perfection. We just want some consistency. That's all we want. All right. So with that being said, y'all stay up, stay blessed, and stay true. And hopefully I'll see a lot of y'all on June 3rd, Saturday at 9 a.m. in Prospect Park.
Yes, indeed, family. So time to get ready, get ready, get ready. You can follow Brother Tad on the OG Wisdom Podcast as well. Follow Coach Tad Cromwell on Instagram. Also, my brother Fire God Ashe SJ. Follow Solid African on Facebook and YouTube, and you can do the same with Sister Marcia and Brother Blacksmith as Flavius Jones on Facebook. I want y'all to stay healthy. I want you to stay focused, because a lot of things are happening in these municipalities where we reside. A lot of attacks. You know, it's summertime. It's summertime. It's hot and heavy. It's hot and heavy. So stay focused. We appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. Shout out to the BK William Mackey History Club. Brother Ray. Shout out to the History Hitman, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. Community Cop Show. You want to also check out Saturday's New Day Liberation with Dr. Filet every Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Let's roll out with Dito Green, United Front. Good night, family. We out.
Like the other people and not like you, then you'll forever be the
They be like, yo, why you the pastor? Like, what's church in the field? Like, we black power. We trying to get out the church. Like, slow your ass down and listen. Grown folks talk. I'm the pastor.
I used to sit and listen, got me scared to think I'm sinning. That's when the devil was in the ground, didn't know the true and living. With cool precision, preacher's voice pushed me to a limit. Never knew it, Kemet, and missing books of Bible edits. Who get the credit? Message to the black man read it. So Pastor Green's the author of this black man's message. Said it, let the mountains tell it. We don't tell it on the mountain. My ancestors had a carving fetish. These crackers in their gay paintings of molested babies and angel feathers is more than suggestive. Popes and Vatican weapons, whole motion promotion to download guards is oppressive. Messenger bomb that distorts and confuses the senses. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach. Introducing Pastor Green, no compromising, cracker free. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach. Introducing Pastor Green, no compromising, cracker free. Pastors and teachers working in the church's service. Due to the evolution of the Negro preacher in this sermon. No cracker worship or making nuns out of our daughters. We honoring our ancestors through rituals and altars. I walk this world and live it though cautious in my desire. Reaching higher as the lies in my mind expire. Preaching fire from the ships protected by Amaya. Oshun sister, while we survive the ride to the islands. Offer her fruit, fish, and silver, a choice to gold and diamonds. Accepting guardian spirits, learn how to call and find them. So when I take you to church, remember and remind them. America where I live, but Africa's where you find him. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach. Introducing Pastor Green, no compromising, cracker free. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma heard me break it down. She said I need to preach. Introducing Pastor Green, no compromising, cracker free. Nobody questioned God's color till cracker define race skin. Jealous cause the carbon in mine keep me blacker than space wind. From the greatest to the lowest, I notice no more waiting. Crackers is all devil, coons is the footrest of Satan. Didu always kill it cause Didu make you feel it. Thorough in the spirit with them bars off the skillet. I ain't gotta tell nobody I'm African, I already did it. Sometimes I'm rhyming alkaline refined, but this is all acidic. Dumb and dumber done did it, cracker grave dig it. I'm the pastor cause of how my words engage spirits. Church in the field is my shield to you for the wicked. Black power versus always dismissing your crucifixion. Welcome to the black church and what it's meant to be. The pastor reaches the people, that's what it meant to me. Grandma break it down. She said I need to preach. Introducing Pastor Green, no compromising, cracker free.